welcome back to Animated Tops and Flops, where we are diving into the best and worst episodes of your favorite animated series. My name is Alyssa.
And my name is Janice. We are voice actors who love animation, and we have opinions. Join us in our tour of Springfield as we continue our discussion of The Simpsons.
On this episode, we are going to be discussing our top Season 7, Episode 1, Who Shot Mr. Burns, Part 2.
And for our flop, we will be discussing Lisa with an S, Episode 7 of Season 27.
Janice, is this your favorite episode?
I can't say it's my favorite episode,
Okay.
but it is up there for me. I mean, it is a top contender for me. It's just so well written. And part 2 is just the perfect unfoiling of part 1. I mean, part 1 really winds it up for us. Like, every single person just gets their motive, you know? And we're like, oh, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. And part 2, it's like, oh, it can't be you. Maybe it's you. And then we finally find out who done it. It's a perfect boil and a perfect unfoil. So
I know, I love it. I love that. It makes me want, like, chocolate, but...
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Could always be down for some chocolate. But yes,
Nice.
Alyssa, is this your favorite episode?
You know, it's not. And
What is your favorite episode?
That's a great question. I don't know.
That's okay. Maybe
I don't
we'll discover
know.
it.
I know. I feel like I used to when I was younger, but they just keep adding episodes. So, like, I at this point, I don't really know.
Yeah. That's fair. Maybe we'll discover it on this journey.
Yeah.
I gotta say, though, my favorite episode didn't even make the top, the tops.
Janice,
I mean,
what's your favorite episode?
Girl, my favorite episode is Lisa Breaks Ralph's Heart. It's the choose me.
Wait, Janice, that
one.
might be my favorite episode. I forgot it existed until this very moment.
Yes, I am obsessed with this episode. It's just, again, we get to explore more of fantastic characters like Ralph Wiggum. I mean, we get to see some depth, you know? And with Lisa, we get to see a different side of her. And then Bart even has the, oh, it isn't fair. I'm twice the crusty fan you are. I even had the crusty whole pregnancy test. It's like, all the quotes.
For those of you who don't know what just happened, Janice does the most amazing Bart impression you have ever heard. So no, that was not Nancy Cartwright. That was Janice Kalka.
Thank you. You know, a little off today, but I'm being too cruel on myself.
I would like to hold off because I would very much like to do an episode for this. I would very much like to do an episode about your favorite episode. I think that sounds so fun to me.
Oh, yes. Okay, let's do it. Okay. Let's plan it.
We're going to plan
like
this.
That.
Yes.
We're going to do this. We're going to do our favorite episodes.
I'm so excited. I'll have to figure mine out before, we do that. But
I mean, that's fair. Like, explore, have fun.
Yes. It's going to be great.
I mean, I could definitely see like one of the Treehouse horrors being up your alley.
It honestly, like, I've always loved the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Like whenever they came out,
I mean, they're all fantastic.
We're getting so off topic. I never realized that all Treehouse of Horror episodes were in like 3 parts. I don't know why it never clicked, but all of them are in 3 parts.
Yes.
I never realized that.
Oh, yes. Like 3 different acts. It's just...
That's crazy to me.
It's lovely.
Okay, let's get back on topic.
Yes. We can always, we can pop back to that. Put a pin in it.
We are talking about Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2.
We are.
And can we talk about who wrote and directed this? Let's start with the writers.
Okay. Well, the writers happen to be Bill Oakley and John Weinstein.
Same writers from Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1.
Same writers and same director as well.
Actually, it's a different director.
Ooh, my bad. Who directed this one?
Wesley Archer, who directs Rick and Morty.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Again, why this is just such a good episode. I mean, this 2-parter, usually I expect sequels to flop.
Yeah.
This just kept ramping it up. It was absolutely fantastic. The gags, I mean, the mystery, the resolve, Mm-hmm. It was just all done so freaking well. And So, okay, we mentioned this on the last episode, but Bill Oakley and John Weinstein wrote 4 separate endings and animated them. So even they didn't know who actually shot Mr. Burns. They also
Mhm.
had to wait. So I just wanted to recap that fun fact because they had to keep the solution under wraps. They didn't want it getting out, It's genius.
It's so
Like,
crazy. Like, how many times does that happen? I feel like when even the people that are responsible for creating these things are also like in the dark, like with the audience, for some reason it just makes it that much more special because you're connecting in that way.
yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
so great. This episode aired in 1995. It was
Oh.
Yeah, it was the first episode of that season, obviously, because we had that whole gap where people tried to guess who done it and nobody did, and womp womp.
God, what a way to end a season. And what a way to start a season too.
Ah,
That's a
I know,
strong
truly
start. And
perfect.
season 7 has got a lot of great episodes.
Mm. Yes.
Like, so many good episodes.
So many good episodes.
Yes.
Give us a short little recap of this episode. You can throw in some from part 1 because like they're connected, but like give us a recap of this one. Feel free. Spoilers are coming, everyone, if you haven't seen it.
Yes, spoilers are coming indeed. So like I said, we have boiled in part 1, and now we are unfoiling. So in this episode, Chief Wiggum is trying to figure out who done it. It's not Mr. Smithers, but Mr. Smithers does shoot another old man in the leg, James Beardsley?
Beardsley.
Beardsley. The old man with a really long white beard. And he's got like a wooden leg. So he ended up shooting his wooden leg.
Oh, it's Jasper Beardsley.
Jasper.
Jasper.
It's Jasper Beardsley.
It's Jasper Beardsley.
It's Jasper Beardsley. So Smithers ends up shooting Jasper Beardsley and the wooden leg. Yes. So, it's not Mr. Smithers. Like, we quickly find that out.
Oh, yeah.
But they do find DNA on the gun that was used, and it was Simpson DNA. It's not Lisa, of course. Wasn't Bart. And it goes down to Homer because, of course, Homer had that huge, episode where he's like, my name is Homer Simpson. It's just so iconic. But it was not Homer. He's actually innocent. And his family is like, are you sure it's not you? And he's like, I swear.
And they all think it's him. And so they end up in Mr. Burns' hospital room, and Homer's like shaking him.
Yeah.
And they're like, get off of him.
And he just keeps saying, Homer Simpson, Homer Simpson. Or Simpson.
Yeah.
Simpson. And we later find out it is Maggie Simpson.
Maggie Simpson. How, Janice, how on earth could Maggie Simpson shoot Mr. Burns?
How could she not? I mean, stealing candy from a baby.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Ugh.
What is this? How dare you take a girl's lollipop? Rightfully so. She shot Mr. Burns.
Like
by accident, though.
I was going to say, it was all an accident, and it all revolved around candy.
Yes, which was foreshadowed in episode 1.
That it was.
Oh, I think I'll celebrate by taking candy from a baby. Yes, I think that's it. And Smithers is like, oh God, I don't know if that's going to work out. And, so that's how that worked out. So, that's how, like, the episode unfoils and everything. And there's just so many great, iconic gags within. Like, Chief Wiggum is interviewing all of, like, the suspects. I mean, Willie, and they're like, stop changing over your legs. Like, stop, like, crisscrossing your legs because his, like, skirt, his, what do you call it? His kilt.
Oh, his kilt.
Yeah. So he kept flashing the police, and they're all like, ugh. Which I don't get, because Willie's ripped. Like, is there something about Scottish men or something? But, like, I don't know. Willie's, like, hot.
I think it's just for, like, I don't want to see penis and balls. And it's like, okay, well,
that's
clearly
fair.
you're the wrong audience for Willie, so sorry.
Yeah. Willie's all about Willie, which I love.
We love Willie. We love Willie.
And they did not want to see Willie's Willie, so...
More for us.
More for our imaginations.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, I also loved the gag of Skinner forgot his some type of makeup, and he brought his mother's makeup, and
Oh
he's
my
like,
god,
"Oh,
yeah.
darn, I forgot my other makeup. This is
But, like,
mother's."
he had to put on a whole face before he realized it.
He got so far,
He
and it
did,
looked pretty
truly.
dang good, so
He did a good which makes me wonder if he does his mother's makeup for her.
that's actually a really sweet thought. I mean, he takes such good care of
Yeah,
her.
he would too. I mean, she would yell at him too, but, like, he'd do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I wanna talk about the chalkboard gag.
Yes, yes,
It's my
tell us
favorite.
about the chalkboard ad.
Okay, chalkboard gag. The chalkboard gag said, "I will not complain about the solution when I hear it."
I love it. Some
I was
people will probably be like, "What the heck?"
I literally wrote, "Same, LOL."
Oh my god.
Just in general, but also, like, to the Who Shot Mr. Burns. So they're like, "Bless you."
Thank you.
They were like, "No one's allowed to complain about this." Just prepping you in advance.
Love it. Love it. Because I'm sure people had opinions of like, how could it
Oh
be
god,
Maggie? But
right?
it's
"You tricked us."
but good. Like it was a fun mystery, and it is, stuff like that does happen.
Do you have any, like, favorite moments or, like, interesting things that you saw? Let's start with, like, favorite moments or, like, favorite lines.
Oh god, Tito Puente's
Oh
song.
my god, Tito
I mean,
Puente.
it's just so freaking funny. Like all of the Tito Puente bits, I didn't even know like who he really was until I started like looking him up after this episode, and he's like a really big jazz player and a huge musician back in the day, and I just thought it was really cool that they incorporated him like that. And this is one of the episodes that like didn't focus the episode around him. It just used his celebrity as like an accent to, or as just like a bit of flavor to the situation. It's
Mhm,
when episodes start getting so focused on celebrities for like plot is where I start to cringe and where
yeah,
it just starts to tank for me. But
mhm.
this was like a really sweet way to incorporate Tito Puente. Like, I mean, how cool. Like, I just thought that was very cool.
That was super
um
fun.
I have to say probably my favorite moment uh was the interrogation scene and then Skinner's accidental drag. But my favorite one-liner is, "I inherited everything when I married Homer, including his DNA." Sweet Marge.
Sweet Marge. I don't know how that works, but
Bless her heart. I just thought that was so funny. What were some of your favorite moments? And
Um,
do you have a favorite one-liner?
so weirdly, one of my favorite moments was during the couch gag, and I'm not a big fan of the couch gag, but this one was just, like, too interesting to pass up because it's the family in front of, like, the police where it says, like, the heights of everyone, and it tells you the heights of everyone, of, like, the Simpsons family,
Oh, no
which I thought
way.
was interesting, and so based off of that, Homer is 6 foot.
He's a tall man.
I know. Marge is 4'5".
Wow.
She's like 7 feet with her hair, but like without a hair, she's like 4'5". Bart is 3 feet, and Lisa and Maggie are not even on the map. Like they're not even tall enough to hit. And I'm like,
Wow.
that can't be right.
No, that can't be right. And Marge being 4, no,
I
she's gotta
know.
be taller than that. She's gotta be. I mean, she's like, I'd say a foot or two less than Homer for sure, but I mean, she's pretty tall.
Her hair. It's a
Her hair
trap.
is tall. But that would have to mean her hair is like the same size as her.
I mean, isn't it though? I know. Give you
I
something to think
don't know.
about.
I know I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, I mean, I would think, I mean, just how it's animated, I would think
Yeah.
that her hair is at least like 3 feet tall, maybe, or 4 feet tall, but
That it
she's
would
got to be like 5 something at least.
Listen, I'm only saying what the animators wrote. Whether or not it's true, like, who knows? They're probably not even, like, accurate. They probably weren't like, okay, let's figure out the feet into inches into centimeters so we can draw it correctly. Like, I doubt it. They're probably just like, throw some lines on there.
Yeah, that's
Um,
not to scale.
I just thought it was interesting. I'm like, is that real?
Fire that animator.
Fire
Just
them.
kidding. Don't fire him.
Don't. We love them.
We love them to death. We want them to keep their jobs and do better episodes.
I think one of my favorite lines is when I believe it's Smithers is walking on the sidewalk and he's all drunk, and that's when he like runs into Jasper
Oh yeah.
Beardsley.
Jasper
Jasper
Beardsley.
Beardsley. That's when he runs into Jasper Beardsley. And Jasper goes, sidewalks are for regular walking, not fancy walking, because he's just like
Oh yeah.
slick all over the place. Also, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said Smingers did it, trying to say Smithers. They're like, Smingers did it. And I wish I knew. I want to say it was probably like Grandpa, because that makes the most sense. Let's go into some fun facts about this episode. Do you have any that like really stuck out or that you just love the most?
Ooh. Okay. Yes.
Hit me.
So, while deciding who the culprit was, Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein pitched Barney Gumble because he was a character that could go to jail and it could change the dynamic of the show. Also, the writers were running out of things to do with him, so this could have been foreshadowing, given him that he was the only one not questioned by police. And I didn't even realize that in the episode, that he wasn't questioned by police.
Oh yeah, he wasn't.
But I'm really glad that he didn't go to jail too, though, because they did come up with some great things for Barney. Like later on, like getting sober. I thought that was really cool.
That one sticks out a lot in my head is when he got sober, because there's something about sober Barney that's like so like, I don't know, he's just so wonderful. Sober Barney's the best.
Yeah. I also love seeing Barney in the barbershop quartet one.
Oh my god.
You know, the baby on board.
I think
that's such a wonderful episode. And again, I can't believe it didn't make the tops. What are we doing, IMDb?
Come on.
What are we doing?
Come on.
Seriously, iconic episodes. I'm like, these are good. The ones rated 9.0 and above are good, but I'm like, but the iconic ones too. I'm just like, why not the barbershop quartet one? That was a lovely side of Apu and Barney and like Principal Skinner, and you know, it was lovely. I thought that was really well done. But anywho, I'm not the rating police, so oh well. What are some fun facts that you have about this episode that you're just in love with?
I have a few that I thought were really interesting. I'm going to start out with, this is the first time we find out Moe's last name.
Really?
Yeah, this is the first time
this
it was
late
ever
in the
mentioned.
game?
I know.
I mean, this is season 7.
I know. They, the writers went through a phone book to find his last name. They're just flipping through it.
I think that's so cool.
This episode had so much material that it had to be 10%ed, which basically means the dialogue and animation is created and then digitally sped up by 10%.
Oh, wow.
So everything
maybe
was a little
that's why it
faster.
just felt so, I don't know, adventurous isn't the word, but it didn't feel like it was bumped up by
No,
anything.
it didn't.
I mean, it was completely, it felt natural. Like
Yeah.
it just flowed so well. So I wonder, like, I don't know, I wonder what other episodes have been bumped up by 10%, you know?
That's a good
And
question.
do you think that affects the rating?
I
Of
don't
how
know.
well they did?
Yeah. I don't know. I know that there's episodes coming up where like they didn't have enough stuff and so they were just kind of throwing things in. I wonder if that's more, I don't know how often it happens where they have so much that they need to speed it up. I feel like it's more like they don't have enough and need to add fillers.
Animation does clip along really fast. I mean, this is such, like, as voice actors, this is one of the most difficult mediums of voice work because it's so precise and it's so fast.
And it seems so easy because you watch it and it's so effortless. It seems so effortless, but then you try to do it and you're like, that is exhausting and you're sweating.
Yeah. But some of the most fun, some of the best work to do, in my opinion. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that lights my artistic soul on fire, you know? It's just, it's high energy. I feel like a kid again. It's, you know, big, it's loud, it's punchy, and then it's over because it's so freaking fast.
Yeah.
So do you think it deserves to be up there in the top rated episodes with part 1?
Let's see. Part 1 was 9.2, right?
It was. And this is a 9.
Yes. I think I agree with that. I think this episode deserves to be a 9. I think part 1 was better, so a 9.2 makes sense to me. I think the only reason why this episode isn't as good as part 1 is because part 1 was such a cliffhanger, right? It left you over the summer. It made you think. They had this contest. They really like bumped it up. And part 2 happened and it just kind of was the conclusion, right? So there was no intrigue. It was just kind of hearing the answer, which doesn't make it bad. It's just not as exciting as the first one was. So
Mm-hmm.
it to me, I was like, it's good. It's definitely not as good as the first one because, you know, the intrigue is what really sells that episode.
Mm.
And I think that when you finally find out, it's like I don't know, it makes you feel better because you waited so long, but also that part of your life is now over and it's a little sad. So like,
I totally get where you're coming from, but I gotta say, I kind of disagree. I
yeah.
think, yeah, I disagree because I think the second part is just as intriguing as the first part. I think it could be bumped up a little bit more to like a 9.1 or a 9.2, like right behind. Definitely not like as good as part one because that's, the initiation, the excitement, like you were talking about. But
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much fun in revealing who didn't do it as well because we start to reveal all these little things about the characters, like Willie can't keep his kilt down and Smithers is apparently trigger happy and Homer has no remorse for Mr. Burns. uh and I just found it so interesting, and I really enjoyed following Chief Wiggum because I
Mm.
don't think we get enough Wiggum.
That is true. I always, there's very small moments where I don't like Wiggum, but Wiggum and Ralph are like two of my favorite characters.
Oh yeah. What makes them some of your favorite characters?
They're so ridiculous together. Like Ralph is so unhinged and Wiggum is just like, "Good job, Ralphie." Like he's just like
Yeah.
cheering him on all the time. It's just like and we're going to talk about this, but I think it's so funny. Ralph brings up a sculpture to like the
Oh,
power
I know
plant
exactly what you're talking
competition.
about.
It's so cute because he's just standing there and Mr. Burns is like, "Go away." And Wiggum's like, "Leave the stage, Ralphie." And he's just like, "Doot, doot, doot, doot."
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Like he loves his son so much, but like they're both so just
They're so wild.
they're so silly and
Hold on.
goofy.
I have to give you this quote because I have it.
Please.
It's Ralphie, get off the stage, sweetheart.
It's so wonderful. He's such a good dad. And
Yeah.
I think that's another reason why I love them both so much is that he's just a good dad. He's a horrible police officer, but he loves his son.
Yeah, he really is a good dad. Clancy.
Clancy.
Clancy
I forgot
Wiggums.
his first name was Clancy.
I can't get it out of my head because his wife says it so precisely, or just so Midwestern. She's like, "Oh, Clancy." It's just so nasally, and it's great. I mean, all three of them are just like so well done, so well executed. Alyssa, shall we move on to our flop?
Let's move on to our flop.
Season 27, episode 7, Lisa with an S.
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa, would you like to lead us in the recap of the episode?
I forgot what it was about.
It opened up for the couch gag. It opened up with a West Side Story parody that was interesting, but like, why? And because Lainey was based off of Elaine Stritch, who was a famous Broadway actor and a famous alcoholic as well, which is why they probably opened up with a musical parody.
Oh,
But like, why the fuck did they do that? And then what's with the ghosts at the very beginning of the episode? Like, why were the ghosts there? It wasn't a Halloween episode. I don't understand. There was an Inside Out reference, which was really cute.
yes. Okay. Wow. Okay.
It's all these random gags
Yes,
together,
you're
and
saying
I'm like,
this, and I'm putting the pieces together, but it's still not connecting.
yeah, because that's the thing. This episode didn't connect on like any, and then you had Amish Flanders at the end,
Oh yeah.
and that could have been its own episode. I'm
That
like,
would have been a
that's
great
so
episode.
random. I'm like, what the hell? And then
Yeah.
the Bruce Willis joke did not age well because of his condition. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it did not age well whatsoever. Also, I'd like to say I saw Bruce Willis with Laurie Metcalf on Broadway
Mm.
in Misery, and he did a fantastic job. So the
Yes.
critics could go F themselves on that one.
Yeah, this wasn't a good episode. You're saying it, and I'm remembering this old woman who basically kidnaps Lisa, like,
Convinces her she's made for Broadway.
yeah, and then just kind of like takes her away from her family and convinces her to just like play saxophone for her.
Yeah, for her like musical review.
Yeah.
It's a wild episode and not in a good way.
No,
Like it
there's
opens with a West Side Story parody opener that goes nowhere.
yeah. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Although we did get to see Barney sober in this episode, and I love seeing him sober, so I was really excited to see that, even though it was, a very short amount of time, but still, it was really nice to see him sober.
Fact about this, it's not very fun, but Elaine Stritch passed away in 2014 and was a notable alcoholic.
Mm,
Um, which probably, as we learn with uh, Epstein and Weinstein and all of these other cases and the Nickelodeon thing and whatnot, it just kind of like opens your eyes to, okay, maybe there was a reason she was an alcoholic. And I just don't think this aged very well.
yeah.
And with this being a year and a half after her death, of being like very pokey and like just kind of making fun of her, but not in the best light,
Yeah.
like I even thought was like, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
The main writer for this episode is Stephanie Gillis, and she actually won a few awards for writing for The Simpsons. Not this episode, but like she's a good writer.
Yeah.
And I
I
think,
wonder what happened
yeah,
on this
that's my, like, I
one.
wonder why. I wonder.
Because here's what it felt like to me, and let me know your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
because it felt like there were 4 different writers, and they had to meet a deadline, and they were put in different rooms, and they were forced to make all of their plot lines work together,
Yeah.
and it just didn't fit.
That's like a very big theme with the later seasons, and like the episodes feel very mooshed together.
Yeah. And here's the thing with that, like, so we do talk about the clip episodes later on in the season, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give too much away about that, but I wonder if it was just a production thing that made the art suffer.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like the production, if it was, because I wonder if it was still under Fox at this time.
Ooh, that's a good question. It could also be, I don't know, maybe it's the director. It was directed by Bob Anderson, who hasn't done much of anything. Like, he's only ever really done The Simpsons, and not even like that many episodes. I think he was a kind of an AD on the movie.
And there's been other incredible Broadway based episodes or like theater based episodes
Yeah.
that could have hit the mark
Mm-hmm.
better than this. Like even I think it's also on one of the ones that we talk about, Marge Goes to Broadway as like a stage manager. I even thought that one was better than this one.
Oh yeah.
I don't think this deserves to be as high up as it is in terms of the
Yeah.
ratings. 5.9 I think is very generous.
I think so too. I hate this episode. I think it goes to show that I didn't really remember it. But
Yeah.
in my notes I said I absolutely hate this episode. I think Lisa's an integral part of the Simpsons family, but I think Lisa heavy episodes tend to be very, very boring.
I think the later ones, in my opinion, are awful. The beginning ones, I think, are much better, but I'm a bit biased because one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons is a Lisa-based episode.
Lisa with Ralph. I see, and I would
But
consider that more of like a Ralph, like, I would say that's a Ralph heavy episode. Like, yeah, Lisa's in it, but I feel like it is Ralph's story.
yeah, okay. That's very true. Discoveries, Alyssa. Discoveries. I love this. I love chatting about this because it's, I just learned so much.
Right? Things you didn't really think about, and then someone says something and you're like, well, hot damn.
And it's just fascinating, right? This is why I love this show so much. I know it's been tanking like for a long time, but I mean, this is why I love this show because there's so much lore, there's so much history. They still try to think of things, and it's not as well executed as it used to be in terms
Yeah.
of like the little details, but it's still there. you know? Like, I think the Treehouse of Horror episodes really stand out still to this day. Those are the only episodes that I really look forward to watching in newer seasons.
Yeah.
Um, because it's gotten so far away from The Simpsons and more celebrity based.
Yeah, and
Again,
also
we'll
it
talk
is
about that later.
yeah, I was gonna say it is they do follow a lot of like satirical stuff, and so you expect that. And so it's
Yeah.
never as like upsetting because you're like, oh, they're satiring whatever, like Tron or something, and it's like, oh well, that's fine.
I mean, like you said, they're satirical. They're purely parodies off of like
Purely.
great horror films
Mm-hmm.
and horror culture and Halloween. It's fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, those are excellent,
Yeah.
excellent episodes. But we're not talking about those
No,
episodes.
we ain't.
We're talking about a flop, which
The
is
biggest flop, in my opinion, that we are effectively not talking about it.
right because it's so bad. We don't want to talk about
we don't want to talk about it. I do want to bring up though. I know you brought up like the Inside Out reference, which I was like, oh, that's kind of fun and cool. There's a Spider Pig reference, and when I tell you Spider Pig is like my favorite, like D plot character that they've ever made. I love Spider Pig, but like there's a reference because there's like pig tracks on the ceiling again, and you're like, like it just.
I love it. See, that's a cute little Easter egg,
Right.
you know? But we just don't get enough of that in the writing
No.
nowadays, you know? I don't know.
No, we don't. Janice, how do you feel about this episode? I went on a rant.
I know. Same, girl, same. Honestly, I think this episode deserves to be rated lower. I don't agree with the 5.9. I think this was pretty terrible. I would even dare to say it was nearly as bad as the one before that we talked about. The Boy's a Bummer.
Yes, I personally feel like this episode's worse. And while that episode's not good, it still has some bits and pieces that like were interesting that it would rate higher than this one.
I mean, it's not great when you can't remember the plot, you know? Or even one of the subplots.
I know, I forgot all of them.
I'm looking at my notes, looking like, what is this episode about? Amish Inside Out, West Side Story opener. I mean, sorry to cut this one short, but there's just nothing great to say.
What are you going to do? When it's a bad episode, it's a bad episode. But
it is.
Like always, if you disagree with us, please respectfully fight us.
Respectfully fight us.
We love to hear your opinions. Please disagree with us. Please agree with us. Don't be mean to people, right? These are just opinions.
Yeah, we're just having fun here. Come on. I mean, who doesn't love a good lore?
Oh, who doesn't love a good lore? And as always, our ratings are based off of IMDb.com.
Yes.
Ooh, spooky, my light went out.
Ooh. But yes, respectfully fight us in the comments. Let us know your opinions. Do you agree that this should have been rated as it is? Do you think it was better or worse than Boy's a Bummer? We should start a bracket based off of the highest and lowest episodes that we're talking about.
Oh, interesting. I really like that idea. So if y'all out there see a bracket just pop up randomly on one of our pages, you should fill it out.
Yeah. Vote for it.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week when we will be talking about our top, which is Homer the Great, and our flop, which is The Nightmare After Christmas. See you then.
Bye-bye.